What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Confidence 2. Today, we are going to be doing our daily house chores. The life of a owner of 22 cats and 2 dogs. So, yeah, you're going to see all the cats today and all that fun stuff while we go through our daily rituals, our daily routines, as Nico punches shit off. Nice. So, I have the dogs outside in the backyard to go to the bathroom. The reason I'm doing this is so I can more easily feed our cats. So let me grab these bowls because it's kind of loud. We got to unload the dishwasher. We'll come back for that because it is cold today. You can see Ozzy's out running around in the snow. But it is cold. I don't want to leave him out there too long. So we're going to go ahead and try to do this expeditiously. 22 food bowls. As you can see, cats all over the place in here. So we tried a few different brands of wet food. We just do Friskies now simply because we have so many. It's just more cost efficient to do Friskies. So that's what we use. So 8 cans of wet cat food. And I'm going to distribute those out between these 22 bowls. So I'm not going to bore you with this. I'm going to go ahead and time lapse it because this video doesn't need to be 18 hours long. So let's get everybody fed here. All right, so feeding frenzies in process for the cats. And a question I would probably have is, how does this end up occurring, right? How do you end up with this many cats living in your house? So the background to this, as I get my dog food ready for the dogs, is Morgan and I, well, I'm allergic to cats, actually. So my wife and I got the 2 dogs, and when we lived at the last house, we lived right next to a PetSmart facility. And at that PetSmart location, there's a cat rescue. There's kind of a cat rescue center. You know, they work with a partner rescue. And we'd gone in there, we'd gone in there a few times to get, treats and stuff. Our dogs were much more spoiled before the cat explosion happened in our house. But we went there, and there were so many times we would just swing by the cats. I honestly could never look. My heart, I guess, is just too big, and I know that I couldn't have any cats. So because of that, I didn't even want to look at them, which I know is kind of a bad thing to do, but that's just the way it was. Anyways, we kept going back over and over, and there was this cat there named Deacon, and he was a gray and white cat, and it said on his adoption paperwork that he was very shy, and you probably won't see him come out, but he's gray and white, he's very sweet, he just needs a lot of time to adjust. And every time we went, we would swing over, and little Deacon would come out from where he was hiding. He would walk up to the glass and rub his body on the glass. He basically chose my wife. And then I kind of started to come around to looking at, just finally accepting that I needed to acknowledge the animals there. And so I went up alone one day and walked over to the kittens, walked over to Deacon's condo, and he did the same thing. So he walked out from his hiding place, I said his name, he walked out and was all affectionate on the glass, hamming it up and stuff, and he just would never do that for anyone else. So it finally got to the point where I was just like, all right, man, we got to apply for him. I know I'm allergic, but this cat clearly chose us. you know, I'm going to make it work however I have to. If I got to get allergy shots, whatever it takes, you know, we can't we can't just leave him here. So we put it in our adoption, got approved very quickly, and we adopted our little Tommy. And then the first night that we brought Tom home, my wife was dog sitting at the time. So to kind of ease him into the flow of the house a little bit, she took our dogs where she was dog sitting because she was spending the night over there. And upon doing that, it was just me and Deacon at the house. And that day was really special because I'll just put a little clip up for you guys from the first night. I sent it to my wife. It was astounding. But Deacon just jumped off the cat tree that we bought him, climbed into bed, and ended up sleeping with me the entire night. And that was on the first night of him coming into our house. And if you know anything about cats, there's typically a little bit of a warm-up period that you have to expect where they kind of hide somewhere in your house for a couple days until they start to kind of get used to the ebbs and flows of the household. But from day one, Deacon was my best buddy, you know, right away. And he literally followed me everywhere, spent every waking moment with me. If I was gaming or whatever, he would lay on the computer, like on my desk. He would lay like in front of my keyboard. He was always around. And I fell in love with him. So that was kind of how everything started. Unfortunately, Tom's story doesn't have a good ending. About 2 weeks after we got Tom, well, Deacon, we renamed him Tom from Tom and Jerry because it was my favorite cartoon as a kid. But a week after we got him, or 2 weeks, I suppose, he started to act very strange. And during this time, we were brand new cat parents, so we didn't really know like what we were looking for, but we knew something was off. So we took him to the vet, and we were told that essentially he had a disease called FIP, feline infectious peritonitis or something like that. I'm sure I'm butchering that. It's the leading killer of kittens, of all things, and it's relatively rare, but not incredibly uncommon. But at that time, there was no FDA-approved drug to treat FIP available in the United States. So we were very fortunate that our vet was able to point us in the direction of a Facebook group, essentially, that works with owners of cats that have FIP. And through that group, we were able to connect to a couple people, and we were able to start ordering medication for FIP treatment from China, and they were able to ship it to us. And so we started treatment. Treatment was a shot. It was administered through a shot it was 2 times a day. And the treatment plan was, I believe, 100 days, maybe like 120 days was the full treatment course. But yeah, we had to give Tom an injection, you know, two times a day for 6 months, give or take. And, you know, we had never administered shots before. We'd never done any of that stuff. But of course, we were going to do whatever it took to do what we could to save Tom. And it was terrible at first. There's no doubt about it. It was absolutely horrendous at first. Just trying to, you know, learn how to do the shots more efficiently, trying not to hurt him because the shot itself is very painful when it gets administered. I guess it feels like burning sensation while the drugs are being introduced to the system of your animal. So it was a horrible thing. But anyways, I'm kind of mumbling too long about that. But we were able to get through his round of treatment. And during that time, we got much better at applying the shots. He was much better about taking the shots, and it was just part of our normal routine. But of course, we wanted to be done with this, and the treatment was supposed to kill off that disease in his body. So everything looked very positive. We got him weaned off after the long administration period. And everything was fine. Everything was really fine. He had gained weight. He looked really healthy. He was a really happy boy. We had told him that we were going to buy him a birdhouse or a bird feeder once he completed treatment, because Tom loved to sit on our windowsill, or basically he loved to sit on our TV stand and watch bird TV. It was his favorite thing. So we said we would buy him a bird feeder once he completed his treatment. So we did. We bought him a bird feeder. And not only did we buy him a bird feeder, but we bought him a friend. And that was when we brought home Ace. Ace was supposed to be Tom's friend. And that was supposed to be the extent of the cats that we had. But unfortunately, a couple weeks after we thought everything was good and clear, Tom relapsed overnight. He was completely fine up until that point. He just relapsed overnight. And when we woke up, Tom was blind, completely blind, walking in circles, had a head tilt, all the signs that something was seriously wrong. So we rushed him into the vet. And at that point, that's when the vet told us his eyes are not working. They are not responding to any stimuli. And he's got FIP again. The FIP wasn't all the way neutralized. And so our options essentially were to, once again, work with the FIP group and get more medication from China. However, now Tom is completely blind, and his eyesight would never return. And at that point, my wife and I just decided that Tom had already gone through enough in his young life. We loved him more than anyone could ever love a cat. I'm almost confident of that. We did everything we could for him, with him. But at the end of the day, his life was a constant cycle of being stabbed with an injection. And it was painful. It was hard on him. And it was hard on us as well. But to add insult to injury, we were going to have to go through that whole process again. And on top of that, now he's blind and he's not able to climb his cat trees. He's not able to watch his birds on TV. He's not able to watch his birds out the window. His quality of life just took a massive drop, and it was already rough to begin with. So we made the decision to euthanize Tom at that point. It was the worst decision of my life, the hardest decision of my life. I am confident that we made the right choice in that moment, but I still think about it every day pretty much as to whether or not I made the right decision. There are a lot of cats that are blind that live normal lives, but with our lifestyle of having 2 miniature Schnauzer dogs that bark at everything, we just felt like he would constantly be in a state of fear and uncomfortability. So that's why we made the decision that we did. And it was horrendous. It was absolutely horrible. So now at this point we have Ace. We just have Ace. We needed to have a friend for Ace. So we got Shay. And we were happy with that. But to be honest, it just kind of spiraled. My wife and I were we were trying to find Tom again. And, and from there it kind of exploded into what it is now, which is an incredibly ridiculous amount of cats that we have to take care of. And Well, just put it this way, we never found Tom again. We love all of our cats dearly, and that's why we do everything we can for them. But, nobody replaces Tom, and it's that's kind of where the spiral began. We also work we volunteer at a rescue. I mean, I've posted vlogs on here before of me doing stuff at the rescue. I've posted TNR videos that we've done. My wife and I have done. I did a vlog for the 100th episode of this channel was a vlog of a TNR effort that we did. All of that stuff we do in memory of Tom. We work for the rescue we adopted Tom from. We do a lot of outside of rescue work with cats. And it's all in memory of our sweet Tommy. So we actually have this in our cat room that you guys have seen a couple of times throughout this video as I've just completely went off on this long ass tangent. But if you look up here, this is our in memorial of Tom that we made. My wife cross-stitched that picture up there of Tom. We got a sweatshirt made that was in my FIP era, Tom edition, but we don't want him to be remembered as the cat that had FIP, so we don't have that whole portion, but we do have the Tom edition in here. We got this picture that was, I think, given to us after he passed. I mean, we were really attached to this cat. I know it's crazy, but a nice little quote there. A couple pictures of Tommy, Tom and Ace right there. Really cute. And then the place that we got him cremated gave us some of his hair, which is in that vial there. And so we still have Tom with us. We have his container, his little urn stored away. But he's always with us, and we still feel like he's here. He's a part of the family. He's still with us for sure. So anyways, that's kind of how it ballooned up to where it's at currently. But we love them all. So I know we're like the weirdos, but Morgan and I don't have kids, so we just we love cats and dogs. So anyways, that's that, and that was the longest tangent I've ever given on this show, I think. But we got some more work to do. So I had my wife actually make this, and I know this is ridiculous, but I am not as detail-oriented as my wife. So I had her put together a list of our daily duties. So this is our daily duties, and I just am able to look at this so I don't fucking miss anything. Because like I said, I don't want my wife to have to come home and do everything. That's not right. So I try to do my best to help out. So that being said, we got wet food done. We got done for both dogs and cats. You guys can't see this. Now we got to feed Maeve. Maeve is our last guinea pig. Morgan and I went through a phase with guinea pigs as well. Before we could have dogs, we were living in apartments. And we just thought we could get away with guinea pigs. So we were up to about 20 guinea pigs as well. And the only one remaining right now is this little girl, Maeve, right here. She's been with us. She's probably 5 to 6 or so at this point. They have about an 8-year lifespan, so she'll still be with us for a few more years. But, not it's not a bad thing, but I will say guinea pig work is a lot more strenuous than normal cat-dog work. You obviously have a cage. You got to clean the cage every week. It's just a big mess. You get hay everywhere. It's a whole fucking deal. So I'm kind of glad the guinea pig era is gone and past, but for sure, it was a good time. It was a good experience for us. And we loved our guinea pigs also very much. We still, like I said, we love Maeve also. So it's not like she's not appreciated, but it's definitely easier having cats and dogs than trying to deal with the rodent lifestyle. Okay, so we're making progress here. I do have to wipe the counters down, but I want to try to let them have time to continue to graze and kind of whack at some of those bowls before we do that. So I'm going to wait on that just a second. I know that we have to wipe down the TV stand, so I guess I'll just take care of that now. Well, yeah, I'll just do it. This is the one thing I always seem to forget because it's just like it's the only thing not in my immediate area. So I'm going to go ahead and whack this down. Lysol pet spray is what we use. So just wipe this off. This is a normal hangout spot for some of our cats, and we always have cat TV on, always, in the living room, unless we're actually in here watching something. It's almost always running cat TV. Our neighbors probably think we're absolute weirdos. But that runs pretty much 24/7. So that takes care of that. Now we're going to go ahead and check dry food. Well, before we do that, let's do water bowls. Water obviously gets replaced every single day. Dogs and cats are kind of gross. Dogs and cats are kind of gross, so they get a lot of shit in their water, so we want to make sure they have clean water every day. So we replace the water bowls. And then with this many animals, you can't just have one water bowl, one food bowl. Like most households, we have 4 water bowls and 5 water fountains. And then we'll get to the food situation in just a second. So drop these in. I'm horrible at this for some reason. I spill every time, so I'm sure it's going to happen. It's these bowls in particular that are the bane of my existence as an adult male. So I actually probably underfill these a little bit. But it's about the only way that I won't spill it all over the fucking floor. So, is what it is. Fill it up, buttercup. All of our animals are adoptions, except for the dogs. We actually did get the dogs from a breeder, which this was kind of before we were really into rescue work and stuff like that. I mean, I would say if we were to go back in time and have the knowledge that we have now, we would have adopted dogs. But we don't love our dogs any less. You know, it was just a kind of an illiteracy, or we just didn't know better at that time. So I don't know. That's something it's like an internal conflict of mine, but it's just easy we just have to remember that, we didn't know what we know now at that time. So it is what it is. Okay, so I got a little bit of a problem. So right in front of us here, actually, this is Mama. She's completely feral. She was found with her kittens. We rescued her, got all of her kittens fixed. All of her kittens were adopted out except for one. We kept one, little girl Lux. So they're still together, and they spend a lot of time together. But Mama is very feral, not too sure on us. She's been with us probably for about 6 months or so. And, we can't even approach her. She doesn't want any of it. So that's a lot of our animals too. They're unadoptable, but we don't want them outside. So that's kind of her situation. Before I started going on that tangent, food bowls. So the cat food bowls are up on the table so the dogs don't get to them. And as you can see, shitload of them. This is a never-ending mess. So we usually actually clean these mats. I think it's every other day. I'll probably hit this with a vacuum and just kind of tidy it up. But I'm going to go ahead and fill up food bowls first. So we have this little supply closet. This has got our cat food in it. As you can see, a fuckload of cat food. We're just going to go ahead and top these up. Glenda's helping me out. I don't think Glenda came out for wet food today. She just wants the kibble today. That's fine. And then you may be wondering, why. There's just a lot of downtime, so I'm just rambling today. Maybe wondering, why we do wet food and dry food. We just find that it makes the most sense to do that because we have a lot of male cats. And UTIs in male cats is a very deadly risk. So we try to keep their diet very balanced, so that way we can try to eliminate or do our best to eliminate those risks as much as we can. So anyways, I'm gonna fill up these food bowls. I don't think you guys need to see this, and I don't want to run out of fucking storage on my phone, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill up all these food bowls, and then I'm gonna vacuum out these mats, and then I'll be right back to continue with our daily duties. Okay, so in the effort of trying to save some time for the video storage issue that I have on my phone, you can see we vacuumed that up. Also vacuumed the floor up in here and did some sweeping. Clearly missed one, but this is a never-ending battle. Litter boxes. We don't just have two. I'll take you downstairs where the majority of them are, but we have the litter box situation set up in a way that we have so many of them that we're able to just address those issues with the full boxes when the boxes get full. We do a deep clean of those every week, usually once a week unless it's really bad, and then of course we'll address the issues at hand if need be. But that's kind of that for the litter. And obviously I didn't go over everything with Maeve. Maeve gets hay for her teeth. She gets vegetables every day. She has kibble and water, of course. That gets replaced and cleaned once a week. So what am I doing here? That gets replaced and cleaned once a week. So she's as well taken care of as she could be. The nice thing is also she gets to watch all the cats and stuff. In our old place, when our whole house was dominated by guinea pigs, we had them in our main living areas just so that way they could be, a part of the family, so to speak. So yeah, it was weird. You should have seen our old one-bedroom apartment we used to live in when we had like 18 guinea pigs. It was quite a fiasco for sure. Come a long way since then, as one does, I guess, as they get older. That was when we were early 20s when we had that. Now we're early 30s, so it's been a long time. All right, so obviously the sink looks like shit. I'll clean that in a second. We have to mop the floor in the dining room and the kitchen as well, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Now, I guess time lapse is probably the best way to do this, so we'll just run a quick little time lapse. Well, I guess I'm gonna give my dogs a little treat. I don't think I gave them a treat when they came inside. They haven't even touched their food either. I don't think they know it's over there. It's all right. So you get these little mini Zooks, and then these go into this ball here, so they can just roll the ball around and get the treats out of it. Zooks smell so bad, though. They just smell horrendous. But I'll just do one of these maneuvers. Let that go out in there. And you can see the ball, they pop out. Yeah, they love that thing. It's good interactions for them. Okay, time lapse for mopping. So Morgan got a Bana mop, which is what you're seeing here. It's really cool. It's like a Swiffer, but you can refill the canister with whatever cleaning fluid you like. Very, very nice to have this. All right, that kind of takes care of the main shit on my daily list. I just got to wipe the counters down, which we'll go ahead and do quick. Got to wipe the counters down. Got to wipe the booth down. All that fun stuff. Clean the sink out, obviously. That shit is nasty. So, anyways, just do this. Make sure the countertop stays nice and frosty because we do cook on these as well. So, you want it to not have cat food if at all possible. So I'm gonna get this done and I'll check right back in with y'all. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. The only other couple things I gotta do is head downstairs and laundry's on the list. We gotta start a new load after we get home from work. We have laundry running in this house. If we're here, laundry's running. It's just how it goes with this many animals. But I've been home all day, so I've been doing that all day. So I know we're up to date on that. And then, as far as litter goes and stuff, I know I mentioned I'd take you down there. There's 20 automatic litter boxes just like the ones that you see up here. I don't think there's really any point in showing you. But just know that the animals have all the facilities they could possibly need to live a happy, healthy life. So, there you go. Hope you enjoyed this little video. That was a fun one to make. A little behind the scenes. These videos on here are so weird, but it is what it is. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. We'll be back with some more cooking vlogs. I would assume soon. Morgan and I have been pretty bad about it lately, though. We've been going out. It's not been good. But we'll get back to it eventually. Other than that, though, take care. Love y'all. Talk to you later.